Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of 1998 Represent. As you can tell by the picture here, we're talking about Titanic, even though it came out in 1997 technically. Um, it was late, very late in the year for 97, so it came out like in December, like 2 weeks into December or something like that. I didn't see it right away at first. I kind of waited like a couple weeks. I saw it in then early 1998. Saw it twice in theaters, and I think this is maybe the second movie I saw multiple times in the theater. I think the first one I remember going to more than once or twice was Jurassic Park, and that was probably mostly just because my friends and I missed like the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the movie at the first time we saw it. But saw this twice in three theaters in '98. It's like 3 hours and like 16 minutes long or something like that. So it was like the long, like first time I saw a movie that long in theaters. I think the next movie I saw that was um, longer than this multiple times. It was probably like Return of the King or something like that. But saw it twice in 1998. Initially, didn't really want to see it in theaters. I don't know why. I think I was probably just being a hater or something like that. And then I was just like, I remember just seeing more and more about it. I'm like, okay, it looks like this is a movie that has something in it for everybody. It has your romance story. It has something there for fans of history of Titanic, that kind of thing. And then kind of like like fans of action, as like the boat hits an iceberg, you then get the kind of like the action part of the story. So there's something in it for everybody. James Cameron's really good at kind of telling these. I guess I want to say like basic stories, but they're very kind of like universal, like the Avatar films. The stories in the like Avatar and Avatar Way of Water aren't incredibly complex, but they're very serviceable stories that I think appeal to a wide audience. So I think Titanic was kind of that as well. I remember initially this movie had kind of disaster, like no joke intended, kind of written all over it because I remember it was supposed to come back in the summer of '97. It got pushed back to December. I think it was like the budget also like they went way over budget, and I think they didn't want to release it against the Lost World, the Jurassic Park sequel. They probably didn't want to compete with that, so they pushed it back. And then like I think it was like some $200 million budget at the time, which was incredibly expensive. But then it went on to I think now it's like over $2 billion or something like that. I don't know if that's adjusted. It's probably adjusted for inflation, I would think, but I'm not exactly sure. I just remember initially not wanting to see it, and then I saw it. Really liked it. The film is really well put together. Saw it again recently as well, but with the 25th anniversary re-release. It was released in. We saw it in Dolby. It was Dolby 3D. The 3D was pretty good, and the sound was remastered in like Dolby Atmos, and also it was 4K. So 4K re-release of this. I didn't see the 2012 re-release. I know they did a 2012 version to celebrate the not celebrate necessarily, but for the 100th anniversary of the actual sinking of the ship, they did a 2012 version in 3D, which I didn't see. I think the last time I saw this was maybe in part on Netflix. I remember watching it in like I think it was like 2018 maybe, and I didn't watch the entire thing. I kind of just like jumped around a little bit, so I hadn't seen it in theaters since 1998, and it actually still holds up incredibly well. It looked great. The acting is pretty good. The story is kind of very basic, I want to say, but James Cameron's really good at those very basic stories that appeal to a lot of people, appeals to a wide audience. So the story, um, aside from the like the actual romance, it's very kind of basic, but in a really good way because it is just kind of good, like a great overall story. That's not it's not too deep or anything like that. Um, the visuals still look really good. It's like they were still using miniatures at the time when they made the film. Like it's miniatures, it's CG, it's the water effects like still look like really good. So the movie is still actually really entertaining and really fun. I have some notes I wrote down here, so then we're going to also this is a two-part video, not two-part. It's going to be this first part is like my remembering the movie, discussing like what I think of it, like a minute review, and then we're going to jump into kind of the entire. like Titanic Mania that kind of surrounded this movie after it came out in 1998. So let's see, I saw it twice in '98. Like I said, it has something for everybody. Academy Awards was nominated for 14, won 11 of them. I think at that time, that was the first time I saw a movie win that many awards. I remember watching the actual award show on TV and just remember it's like they won 11. Didn't sweep the awards though, so it was nominated for 14 and didn't win any of the acting awards, and it also didn't win makeup. So like I think not Lord, I almost said Lord of the Rings. I think Men in Black won the award for makeup, and then Titanic had nominations for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress, which they did not win. So Kate Winslet, I think, lost to, I think it was Helen Hunt, and then Gloria Stewart lost to Kim Basinger from LA Confidential. I remember at the time liking LA Confidential more, but I think Titanic is probably a better put together movie overall. But LA Confidential is still awesome. I think it was probably overall like a better made movie, but Titanic is just probably more entertaining. Um, let's see. So no acting of that. I also then after seeing the re-release last week went and bought the anniversary collector's edition soundtrack on Amazon. I did the digital version because the CD is like $45 now because I think it's like 10 or so years old. But it's 57 songs, like the score, some of the other stuff in the movie. And then from what I could tell, it's like the music that was played on the ship, like the band was playing and all that kind of stuff. Looks great. And the movie, like I said, still looks really, really good. Um, I remember first hearing of the movie in like 1996, but I also the first time I ever heard of the Titanic was like in 1989, and it was like a TV special about like when they like found the Titanic, and I actually have a Titanic book over there that is like the discovery of the Titanic, which was a Warner book they put out when they were actually like finding like the wreckage of the ship. But that's the first part of this video. We're going to switch around. We're going to then now discuss kind of like just the craziness that was Titanic in 1998, and we'll be right back with that. All right, and we are now back with this article from Vulture. This is from, I want to say, 2013. There'll be a link to check it out in the description. This is kind of like a timeline of like from January to the end of the year about like the mania that was surrounding this movie. I'm not going to read everything in this article, but I will just like kind of highlight some of the things that I found really interesting when I was doing my research on it. So let's see here. We're sort of going to go with down to January 10th. Like we have some magazine articles here, or just like Titanic was on all these magazines. There's another thing I'm going to be talking about a little bit, which is like a bunch of just magazine covers. Let's see. Let's just go down to January 10th. So SNL runs a sketch about the fifth class passengers trying to evacuate the Titanic during starring Tracy Morgan and Samuel L. Jackson. Let's see. Let's see. January 26th, Deja Vu releases its dance remake of My Heart Will Go On. It then peaks at number 69 on Billboard's Hot 100 chart on May. So it came out in January and peaked in May. Let's see. There's a newspaper comic, Foxtrot, begins a week-long arc about the mother's obsession with Titanic. There was something in here about My Heart Will Go On I want to find because it was really, really interesting. Let's see here. Let's see. February 10th, 13-year-old Edith Hoag Godsey launches her tripod. That's an old thing there. Tripod page Titanic rules. Her profile specifies that she's already seen the film 6 times. So 6 times in February. I saw it twice. And I remember like people in my class, like high school, in my high school class, and even some of the classes like around there were kind of bragging about how many times they had seen Titanic. I remember like hearing about somebody that had seen Titanic like 10 times in theaters, and then, like, even like the most I've ever seen a movie in theaters, like I think is like 3 times, because I think I saw The Force Awakens like 3 times or something like that. Here we are, February 12th. Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On breaks the record for most radio plays in a single week with 117 million plays. Like I can't even think like that this is an era before streaming or anything like that. So like having like that song got played 117 million times on like terrestrial just basic radio, which is it's just insane. I don't know if any song can even like claim that now. I mean, I guess you could stream something over and over and over again and listen to it as many times as you want. But just 117 million plays in a week is just kind of insane. Let's see, the highest Valentine's Day gross of all time with, let's see, $13,048,711. That's probably not adjusted for inflation, but yeah, there's like that was definitely a huge romantic film. Let's see here. So we're into March now. March, Winslet appears on the cover of Rolling Stone, the accompanying profile in which Kate talks about getting her period on set. If it was suddenly looks like Jaws, it's my fault. Trading sex tips with DiCaprio, and this was kind of described as the last non-star interview she gives because kind of after that she kind of well she blew up. She's done more independent stuff. DiCaprio is the one that kind of really blew up from this, and even though he was already kind of like an established actor at the time. Um, March 13th, Celine Dion rides a boat on the cover of Entertainment Weekly and announces her plans to pursue an acting career. Also in the issue, the headline, Yoga becomes the latest craze in Hollywood. Nine books about the movie, the ship, or DiCaprio make the top 25 best-selling books on the New York Times nonfiction list. Here's some stuff from the Academy Awards. So I would just kind of didn't sweep the awards, but like I said, 111. Um, there was something in here about, let's see. Oh, here we go. I hadn't got to it yet. April 12th, the J. Peterman Company, which is selling licensed Titanic film and props and reproductions through its catalog, announces that they are back ordered on a $198 Heart of the Ocean necklace. Meanwhile, Fox sues another jewelry company that has received tens of thousands of orders for a $19 knockoff called Jewel of the Sea. So, like knockoff jewelry, we can go into, let's see here. An urban legend about a cursed mummy aboard the Titanic makes email rounds and so on. There'll be a link to check out this whole list in the description so you can read his entire article. But like, it goes from May all the way down to let's see, December, I believe, right? November. Let's see, 3 to CD-ROM reference guide to the ship's history, hit stores. Um, crashes a rap party for Quills, which is wearing a Dennis the Menace mask. That's DiCaprio, just kind of not really into the movie necessarily. Titanic restaurant in London opens its doors, and then that's about it. People announce there are more than 500 web pages dedicated to DiCaprio. They are joined by many sites with Titanic-inspired humor, poetry, fiction, passionate defense, passionate takedowns, and art. Speaking of fan pages, I don't even know if you even see that kind of thing anymore. I remember like there's just you would have a fan page for like a particular band or particular actor and stuff like that back in the '90s. And I don't really think you see that anymore, unfortunately. I mean, I don't really know if you would have to seek it. You can probably seek it out. I know like I had like a GeoCities site for like some comic books and stuff like that at one point. But that is this part of the video. We're going to jump over again to one more image, and we'll be right back with that. All right, and we're back with this other. This is just an image I found on Reddit. I think it's from a few years ago, but this was just kind of another example of all of kind of like the craze that surrounded this movie. So we have like magazine covers from looks like Vanity Fair. We have Time Out, which I've never even heard of. Looks like there's Telestar, People, Studio, More People covers. Entertainment Weekly. I don't even know if some of these magazines even exist anymore. I know Entertainment Weekly, I think, does. People probably still does. I mean, like I haven't really seen a magazines like these in stores for a while, mostly just because I use self checkout and they're not usually around there. But there's Entertainment Weekly, Teen People, Film Review, Empire magazine. I think there's a Rolling Stone cover that they talked about in the previous article that we were looking at. There's Mad Magazine, but yeah, just tons of different magazines that were covering just kind of just craze around Titanic. We're going to flip the camera back around one more time to kind of just wrap up, and then we're going to end the video. We'll be right back with that. All right, and we're now just back with some final thoughts on the movie. I think this is kind of the movie where this is James Cameron made this and then didn't make like another like theatrical film until Avatar. I mean, he did a few like documentaries and things like that. There's another thing on Disney Plus now, which I think is called Titanic 20 Years Later. It came out in 2017. And it was kind of like them breaking the movie down and seeing kind of like where they got stuff right with kind of like the boat and how it sank and where it ended up and all that. or they got it right, or they got it wrong. That's on Disney Plus. I think it's a National Geographic um, special or thing that's on there. But yeah, like I don't think James Cameron really has ever made a movie I didn't really enjoy. The only one of his movies I haven't seen, I think, is called like Piranha 2. I think that was like one of his like earlier movies. But from there was Terminator, which I really love. The Abyss, that's really good. Terminator 2, amazing, one of the best movies of all time. Then we go into True Lies, and then it's Titanic, Avatar 2. He's done like some other like TV stuff and other specials as well, but he never misses really. I don't think. I think every movie of his I've seen, including Titanic, has just been very entertaining. So that's going to do it for this very first episode of 1998 Represent. But we'll be back. I think it might be doing more than one of these per week. We're gonna at least do one per week, but we'll be back with some more videos. Don't know what the subject's going to be just yet, but we'll be just remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.